We are focused only on our own game.
There's an argument to be made that John Carpenter's campy but politically subversive sci-fi satire, They Live, was deliberately suppressed right after George H.W. Bush and his dim-witted sidekick, Dan Quayle, won the 1988 presidential election. They Live was inspired by Ray Nelson's short story, 8 O'Clock in the Morning, which had caught Carpenter's eye after being adapted into graphic novel format in 1986. The original story depicts a colonizing force of butt-ugly space aliens hypnotizing the people of Earth into subjugation, primarily through the use of television and subliminal advertising. We didn't have smartphones back then, but I'm sure the aliens would have glommed onto those too, or even invented them for us. Carpenter's brilliant twist was to turn the aliens into young Republicans and other assorted corporate sellouts who, when viewed through a pair of magic Ray-Bans, look like skin-flayed, bug-eyed upper one-percenters. In other words, yuppie Skeletor motherfuckers, aligned with the U.S. political establishment at a time when Reaganism and Thatcherism was all the rage. Carpenter has described the film as counter-propaganda, a way of giving the finger to Reagan when nobody else would. He'd carried a small but intense hope that it would help persuade American voters not to elect another union-busting, middle-class hosing, deep-state stooge as their president.
No limits.
It figures it would be something like this.
Tragically for all of us, that's not the way things turned out. They Live was the weekend's top-grossing film when it debuted on November 4th, 1988, 4 days before the election. It was generally well-received by film critics, with the notable exceptions of those two pro-establishment propaganda outlets, the New York Times and the Washington Post. The movie easily made back its $4 million investment over the first weekend. By the second weekend, it was in fourth place at the box office, earning an additional $2.7 million. Pretty decent numbers for those days. They Live's distributor, Universal Pictures, had been running an ad campaign that depicted a skeletal alien in a suit and tie standing behind a podium as if campaigning to a crowd of unseen voters from beneath a sleek toupee that bore an eerie resemblance to Dan Quayle's real hair. Soon after Bush and Quayle won the election, co-star Keith David observed, "Not that anybody's being paranoid, but suddenly you couldn't see They Live anywhere. It was like Snatched." They Live supposedly bombed at the box office after its second weekend, but a film can't make any money when it's not showing anywhere. You have to wonder if then President Reagan called in a few favors from his film industry pals like Lou Wasserman and Jack Valenti to get They Live pulled from theaters. It's since become a cult classic that's looking more and more like a documentary every day.
Understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
Okay, hold on here a minute. I have an update. On April 22nd, 2018, my friend Matt Alford got in touch with John Carpenter and asked him for his thoughts on this They Live suppression theory. Matt's a British academic and the co-author with Tom Secker of National Security Cinema, so he has the kind of credentials that seemed likely to elicit a response from Carpenter, even though Matt has been known to wear goofy hats and cavort in public with aging groupies from the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band era. Carpenter ended up replying to Matt on Facebook. In their email exchange, Carpenter explained that They Live's rapid disappearance from theaters was likely just due to bad marketing. According to him, the studio executives were surprised when They Live opened at #1 at the box office during its first weekend, and they got so excited that they decided to tie the film to the elections and change the ads the second week to being more political than the original ads. When the pitch art changed, it changed the dynamics. Meanwhile, they had already dialed back the ad buy, anticipating a not great response to the movie. The combination of smaller, black and white ads in the movie sections that didn't reflect the ad campaign made for confusion. Carpenter concluded, "Some things are not dramatic, just stupid." Of course, even John Carpenter would have no way of knowing if They Live's marketing director had been given a tap on the shoulder and told to deliberately screw up the ad campaign so the movie wouldn't reach a wide audience. Stranger things have happened via Operation Mockingbird and its offshoots, but that's another story.
Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
Putting the water on his hands.
Blow it out of your ass.
This is our house. This is our roof.